After an incredibly long gestation period, Proton has finally launched its first EV, the e.MAS 7. With up to 410 kilometers of range, with prices starting from under 120,000 ringgit, Proton promises that this will be the car to help people transition from combustion to electric. My name is AIMAN ABDULLAH, this is Malaysian Motoring, and this is our launch coverage of the new Proton eMAS 7. Now the eMAS 7 will be made available in two variants, being the Prime and the Premium. Both cars, however, utilize the same electric motor, producing 218 PS and 320 Newton meters of torque, able to propel this car from 0 to 100 in 6.9 seconds. The key differentiator here is actually in terms of battery capacity, because the Prime uses a 49.52 kilowatt-hour battery, whereas the higher-end model uses a 60.22 kilowatt-hour battery. As a result, the base model does about 385 kilometers on the charge, whereas the higher-end model will do about 410. We have independently verified this when we took this car all the way to Johor and back, which you can check out up here. Now, before we get into the rest of this, let's first talk about pricing. The Proton eMAS 7 comes in at 109,800 ringgit for the Prime, while going up to 123,800 ringgit for the Premium. However, for the first 3,000 customers, Proton is throwing in a 4,000 ringgit rebate, making the entry-level price just 105,800 ringgit, whereas the Premium will come down to just 119,800 ringgit. There are also exclusive launch packages for these customers, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, the Proton eMAS 7 competes at the heart of the C-segment EV SUV space, which is why it will be competing directly against the BYD Atto 3 as well as the Chery Omoda E5. However, the eMAS 7 is notably larger than both of those cars in every measurable dimension, including the wheelbase, which is particularly noteworthy because that essentially means that there is now more space into the cabin. There is also a difference in terms of specification between the Prime and the Premium, with the Prime running on 18-inch alloy wheels, whereas the Premiums run on 19s. However, the base model also uses Atlas tires, whereas the higher-end model uses Goodyear. Now, in terms of the design, we have spoken a lot about the eMAS 7 in that regard because it is largely inoffensive. The whole point of this car is to broaden its appeal to a much wider audience than before, which is why the design of this car has been very carefully curated to ensure that it's not offensive to anyone who might be looking. Notable features include full LED headlights up front, replete with scrolling indicators, flush door handles down the side, diamond cat alloy wheels, as well as a very sleek, very svelte design, which I think certainly plays up its C-segment SUV nature. On top of that, as you can see, this is a very large car, which is exactly what families want. The taillight design of the eMAS 7 is also very noteworthy, not only because it's got a full LED light bar, it's also got this very distinctive feature here in the middle. Down below, we get Proton badging with a beveled edge, as we've seen before from the S70 as well as the X90, as well as the eMAS 7 badge here, which notably has a blue E to signify the electrification. Now, behind the tailgate, you will find a pretty decent amount of space because this is ultimately meant to be a family car or practical SUV. The space back here is larger than what you get from the Atto 3 and certainly larger than what you get from the Chery Omoda E5. And you even get plenty of underfloor storage, certainly large enough for all your charging cables as well as maybe 12 pairs of shoes. This boot is huge. On top of that, this boot floor can also be adjusted in order to maximize vertical space if you need to put in, say, luggage or something else. You get lights back here, which is nice. You also get a couple of hooks, but notably you don't get a tonneau cover, which is a very strange omission. The interior of the eMAS 7 is also just as upmarket as you might expect. Again, not just from an EV, but also from an upmarket Proton. Proton positions this as higher than the X70, which is why this interior is also built to a slightly better degree. The use of soft touch materials has been very considered, with all the major touch points covered in something that is nice and pliant. On top of that, the choice of this indigo blue cabin does feel very serene and very calm, and it's certainly in line with what you'd expect from an EV. Now, this car notably comes with climate control as well as this very large central touchscreen which controls the majority of your functions, and it's currently showing me a kitten for reasons I can't quite fully comprehend. Now, most notably, this runs the Fly Me Auto UX, which is unique to the e.MAS 7 as well as the GBE X5. But this has also been localized in order to offer not only the live charging map, but also to offer slightly better local integration. Notably, this screen is also powered by a 5-year unlimited data plan that comes with the car. Apparently that's worth 1,800 bucks. I don't know which network they're using, but it's clearly very expensive. Now, beyond that, you get this multifunctional scroll wheel here, which is certainly nice to see. And of course, you do still get an instrument cluster here to give you all the pertinent information that you need. However, beyond that, there is also a full color heads-up display to show you your ADAS functionalities, your speed, your traffic sign recognition, etc., making this a very well-specified cabin. Now, in terms of practical considerations, there are very large door bins, big enough for a 1.5-litre size bottle. Again, something that we tested when we drove this car to Johor. You get a couple of cup holders up here, a small card holder. You get a couple of wireless charging pads, a single wireless charging pad, another phone holder up here. You get USB ports down there as well as a 12-volt socket, a decently sized glove box, and these seats are also powered and ventilated, which is certainly very nice. On this premium model, you also get the Fly Me sound system, which extends into the headrest, which allow the navigation instructions as well as other warnings to be played directly through the speakers that are built in here rather than disturbing the entirety of the car. That's certainly very nice. And that Fly Me Auto system can also be paired to the ambient lighting setup in this car, so it can bounce along with your music, which I think is a bit tacky, but apparently people like that. Now, space certainly doesn't come at a premium in the e.MAS 7. Thanks to that long wheelbase, it's really freed up a lot of room, especially in the back half of the cabin. With the front seat set up in my driving position, about 170 centimeters, as you can see, I have a good amount of knee room and a pretty decent amount of headroom despite the standard fit panoramic sunroof, which is certainly nice to see. On top of that, because this floor is completely flat and the car itself is quite wide, you can actually fit 3 abreast back here without too much issue at all. Or if you're just sat here as 2 rear passengers, you can actually adjust the angle of the backrest from the slightly more upright position to something a little bit more reclined if you want to relax. So set up, my view here is very comfortable. These seats are also quite plush, and I also have a center armrest with a couple of cup holders ensuring maximum comfort back here. I also get a couple of crotch coolers, which I will note are blowing quite hard, as well as a USB-A and USB-C port. There's also decently sized door bins and decently sized pockets behind the seats, which means that overall, this is a pretty well-specified car, not just for families, but also for people who might be looking for, say, a town chauffeur vehicle. Now, like any new flagship model from Proton, the e.MAS 7 comes chock full of active safety features, which gives it level 2.5 semi-autonomy. As a result, this car has autonomous emergency braking, traffic jam assist, lane centering, rear cross traffic alert, a 360-degree camera, and much more. What is worth noting, however, is that they actually removed the eye tracking system from this car, which actually came as standard simply because Malaysian consumers don't like it, which goes to show just how involved Proton was in the e.MAS 7 project. Now, to recap on price, the e.MAS 7 comes in at well under 110,000 ringgit for the prime model and comes in at under 120,000 ringgit for the premium for the first 3,000 customers. On top of that, those same customers will be able to enjoy a fantastic 6-in-1 package that comes with the car, including things like a V2L system, a home charger, as well as various other goodies, including incredibly low financing. Let us know what you think about the new Proton e.MAS 7 in the comment section below. Is this the EV that will allow you to make that transition? Because we haven't even talked about the software and the apps yet. In any case, that wraps up our launch coverage of the new Proton e.MAS 7. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon to be notified every time we make a new upload. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, as well as join our new WhatsApp channel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care and stay safe.